And unless we change them, we are not going to be able to fix, especially the biggest scandal, what Tony Pua used to refer, mother of all scandal, the 1MDB. I don't have to explain too long to you guys because I think you understand. But it's such a big hassle to try to make the rural folks understand what is 1MDB. I remember campaigning in Pematang Pau by election. So we went to this house of a very old grandmother and we were about to explain about GST and 1MDB. She cut us off and she said, "Jangan marah, jangan kutuk, ini Najib, dia banyak baik punya. Dia sudah kasih makcik BRIM," dia cakap. Prime Minister kasih makcik BRIM. Sekarang makcik tunggu GST dengan 1MDB. Bila PMO kasih? So, you have to empathize. In rural areas, they think 1MDB is BRIM. That's why Najib think by telling the whole country that someone donated 2.6 billion, they think we, like the people that Najib has lied all this while, will also believe that someone donated him 2.6 billion. That's why. Now 1MDB. What really happened with 1MDB? I know Tony has been speaking about it since 2010. I've been asking questions since before I was an MP. The questions were very simple. What happened to the money and where did you spend it? Because we wanted to see. It took 5 years of asking hundreds of questions. Because for every 10 questions in Parliament you ask, Najib will give one answer. So if you want to get 5 answers, you have to ask 50 questions. And then the answers on their own do not make sense. You have to patch them together and see a pattern. It's like a puzzle. But after 5 years of asking hundreds of questions in Parliament, finally we can roughly figure out what really happened to 1MDB money so that we could explain to the rural folks. And it's very easy nowadays. I tell the rural folks, if you want to know what happens with 1MDB money, it was like a football match. Because Najib's answer is almost like listening to a game of football, Liverpool versus Manchester. Because Najib will say, from Kuala Lumpur we send the money to Singapore and then it went to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong we transfer it to Mongolia, it came back to KL. Then we made a long shot to Switzerland before it landed in London. It came back to Singapore and finally someone scored straight into the goal into my pocket. Maybe I will get sued once again lah. We all know what happened to 1MDB. So I'm not going to go into the details. I will leave more space for YB Tony Pua and Abang Mat Sabu. I just want to reiterate this. Najib and Rosmah are at the weakest point of their life. They may have the police, they may have the authorities, they can transfer anyone 24/7 or even 12 hours notice. But remember, Najib and Rosmah, you are at your weakest point and any day now you can fall. The more Najib gives the stupidest explanation for Rakyat's question, the more he came down so hard on civil servants who just want to do their job. The more he is seen to be obstructing investigation into 1MDB, trust me, my friends, the more he will push the Malays and the civil servants against him. You may have whatever reservation about Malay, but I can relate my own experience in 1998. I grew up in a very pro-establishment environment. My family was not interested in politics, but we roughly read and believe everything that came from TV3 and Utusan. I felt intellectually deficient if I didn't read Utusan back then. What they did to Anwar, however, opened my eyes that the version of Malaysia that I knew all those years, for 21 years, were all lies. What they did to Anwar, not so much because of the person of Anwar Ibrahim, but I asked the question, if they could beat the hell out of the Deputy Prime Minister, one day I would not have a chance if I end up against them in the system. And since then, since 1998, I have not abandoned a single day of my daily life trying to figure out how to bring down UMNO Barisan Nasional. And nowadays, there are thousands and thousands of young Malays, young Malay professionals, civil servants who opened their eyes to exactly the political awakening that I had in 1998. If I saw it back then in 1998, I'm sure they also see it now, that we must stop the abuse of institution by UMNO-led government. And that is why I am extremely confident they can take YB Kit Siang after this, Mat Sabu after this, Tony Pua after this, myself after this, but they cannot stop the inevitable, the unstoppable, that Najib, Rosmah and UMNO will fall very soon, my friend. That's why I would like to end with this. It is not far off for all the years that a lot of you have yearned and hoped for a change. I think we are in the last mile. Do not allow a small room for them to spoil that. Whatever they say, we must remain resolved. Malay, Indian, Chinese, Iban, Kadazan, stand together for the country, for change, regardless of what happens. We may have difficulties and differences. We have no choice but to work on that differences, provided we do not compromise on the need and principles for change. Can we do that? Yes. So let's start as well. Today I issue a press release and say, if the public does not translate our disgust of Najib and Rosmah openly, they will be able to cool down all the issue, and we will withdraw back to our helplessness, thinking that we will not be able to stand up to this government. What we need to do is that week by week, we must show that we disagree with them and we defy them openly. Week by week, that means in your area, if you are an MP or an Adon, you organize gathering just to denounce them and remind rakyat, we will get rid of this government. 2 weeks from now, we will have Bersih, and we should muster as many people, friends, families, in-laws. If you have 4 wives, bring all the 4 wives. We will gather and make sure the whole Kuala Lumpur will hear our demand that Najib has to go. Can we do that? So, thank you very much. I'm sure we are that close. I'm sure you have waited long enough. All it takes is just another small effort. And finally, I think hopefully there is a new hope for a new Malaysia where everyone will be treated equally and everyone will receive your place under the Malaysian sun as you deserve all this while. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Sese Nandri Vanakkam.